We're back again with the Jeep. This is part 2 of removing the engine. We're gonna go ahead and remove the front clip just so we won't damage it in the process of removing the engine. You probably don't have to. We just want to do it just because this front clip is in good condition. There's only a couple of screws, so you get behind the bezel, you'll find a couple of screws here, a couple of screws on that side, and then the whole clip comes out. And I think there's an 8mm right there. See that little metal piece? So we're gonna go ahead and remove all this, and then we'll put you guys back on to see what we do next. We got the radiator out and we got the front clip off. We accidentally damaged this line, but it's only up to here, so we'll probably get one at the junkyard. If we decide to put the transmission lines back to the radiator, we're leaning more towards transmission cooler, so we're not really too worried about that line. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna get underneath the Jeep and undo the two 13s and two 16s that hold the plate right there. It's like a little cover, not the top part but the bottom part. We're underneath the Jeep. That's the rear diff. This is the front. We went ahead and removed all the bolts that hold this little plate in place. Where is it? Right there. And then we got the torque bolts out. They are 4 15mm bolts. We just turned it from the crank to get all 4 of them. These were 18mm, 2 of them, one here and one there. And then there was a 13 here and a 13 there. So now all we have left is the two 16s. There's one up here, there's one on the other side, and then the 2 E12 bolts all the way on the top. So to get to those, we're gonna have to lower the transmission a little bit. So we're gonna remove the 215 right there and the 215s right here, and then this one has this extra little skid plate, I guess, for the transfer case. We're gonna have to remove this one, and of course put the jack right here so we could lower it a little bit. We had to disconnect this stupid bracket to get to the 16 right here. It's in the way. We put it like this, it kind of blocks the bolt, so you have to remove it. It's 2 13mm bolts right here and right there. So we just put the bolts back. This is just flopping around for right now. Now all we have left is the 2 E12 bolts up top, and we removed this 13, one of these 15s, so we just have 2 more 15s, and then the transmission should go a little bit lower, enough for us to get all the extensions we can and reach those 2 last bolts. We got the engine hoist hooked up. We're using a chain up to that bolt right there for the exhaust, and the one for the AC bracket right here. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this bolt and that bolt right there and just pull it on out. We got the engine out, and the first thing we did is pull this rear freeze plug from behind the head. So this is how it came out. You can see there's some rust buildup. So it's not as bad as the ones on the side, but it still has rust. And then we're gonna get to the ones behind the flex plate, but first we're gonna run to Home Depot and grab some bolts for these 2 spots and also these 2, so we could put it on the jack stand, I mean on the engine stand. We'll put that on that. But they are pretty rusted, so you can never know exactly how long these are gonna last. So that's one from right here. And got a little late, so we just put the engine on the stand. We'll put the cover on the cam again. We already removed the alternator as well. What we're gonna do now is remove this bracket, remove this cap and rotor with all the wires. We're gonna remove possibly the motor mounts and the water pump, and we broke these loose. I'll show you. These come with the kit, the freeze plug kit. So that's straight into this. So whatever we flush out is gonna come out through here as well. And once we're done with all this, we're gonna start scraping off most of the gunk that we can, so it just won't fly all over the place. Let me show you on this side. Like right here, you can see a lot of that gunk is still on there. And we're gonna use some oven cleaner, and we got a pressure washer from Home Depot, an electric pressure washer. We don't need nothing crazy, so we just went with the $100 one from Ryobi. We got the cap and wires off. We put the old one back on. We took the motor mount bracket off, the ignition coil off, alternator, like I said, it's off. The AC bracket is off. The motor mount bracket on this side is off. The water pump was off, but we put it back on because we don't want none of this to go back in there. We took the engine off of the stand. We removed the freeze plug again, and then we hit this with the with this red Scotch Brite. So now we're gonna put this one on there. It says, I guess this is the size 2964. This is the shellac that we got. So we're just gonna put a coat on the edge all around. And then we're gonna drive it in with this bearing, race, and seal master driver set from AutoZone. Well, this is the part number for that if you guys wanna go rent it. Now that we got to most of the grease off of the engine block and the oil pan, we're gonna scrape this surface with the blade just to get any of the old material off. And then we're gonna tape this up with some tape and some duct tape, so we could then spray with some oven cleaner. We'll spray the whole engine with the oven cleaner and then pressure wash it. We just don't want any water getting in here. So it's gonna take a while because we have to clean it up real good, make sure that there's nothing left on here. We had taped this up already, but we took off the tape so we could stuff some cut up shirts in there, just to be safe and not get any water in there. So now we're gonna tape it back up. So this is what we got going on. We just put some plastic up under the tent, and we are going to spray this. Oh, we also put two of these mixing tubs from Home Depot, one on each side, so everything could hopefully drip onto that. We're gonna spray it now with some oven cleaner. This is the one from the 99-cent store. So we got a couple of these, and we're gonna spray right now. We're gonna give it a heavy coat and then wait like 5 minutes and then spray it again. It says on the instructions to spray it and let the foam work from 5 to 15 minutes, but we're gonna give it one coat, then 5 minutes, then give it a second coat, and then after the second coat and the second 5 minutes, we're gonna hit it with the pressure washer. We got a Ryobi pressure washer, so hopefully that gets all this gunk off. We just took off the water pump, and now we're gonna take off the thermostat housing. And like always, we just put the bolts back so we won't lose them, and so we can know where they go. So we're just gonna run some water through here, and all these, the water pump and the thermostat, they're in good condition, so we might keep them as spare. So now we're going to take off the valve cover. We're gonna remove all these 11mm bolts that go up here. There's a couple of them that are studs like these. I don't think it matters where they go. I think these two had the little plastics for the spark plug wires, and other than that, I think that's pretty much all they hold. So I'm gonna work my way around real quick and remove the valve cover so we can see if there's any gunk buildup in there. Everything up here is looking pretty good so far. A little bit of water got in here, but we're gonna go ahead and blow that out. And now we're gonna move over to the oil pan. We have to drain the oil. This is brand new oil. It has like probably like 50 miles on it. Actually, before we drop the oil, we're going to put this in top dead center. So we're gonna line up the mark right here, and we're gonna make sure through the spark plug that the piston is all the way up. and then we'll go ahead and drop the oil pan. And then we got the oil pan off. Everything looks good. There was a little bit of gunk buildup on the oil pan, but it wasn't that bad. So we're good to order all the parts that we need for this: oil pump, timing chain, harmonic balancer, and all that. It had an oil leak, and I guess whoever worked on it just tightened the bolts as much as possible to get the oil leak to stop, and they ripped the oil pan gasket. So as soon as the parts get here, we're going to start with the timing chain and work our way back here. So that's it for this video. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Yonke_OXC Films. I'll leave that in the description down below, and we'll catch you in the next one.